Hi everybody, we're going to go over the internet process, and I'm going to go over through some mechanics of it so everybody knows exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It's going to be a couple different scenarios. I'm sure I'm not going to be able to get every scenario, but go through the basic stuff. Now, the first thing we're going to do is talk about when a lead comes in, and if you're at your inbox right here, which is what I like to look at, some of you will go to different places, but if you use your inbox, you'll notice that when a lead comes in, it has a little yellow mark right there, which means that basically the clock is ticking. And at this point, we need to complete an activity. The first activity we complete, obviously, is the phone call. If we don't complete it in 15 minutes, this turns red. But then once it is completed, then you will see that it's green like this down here. And I'm going to switch this over to just emails, so we're just looking at that. So the first part of the process is we pick up the phone, we make the phone call, obviously we click on the lead. Now remember, there's a couple of places a phone number could be. If you're in the habit of going over here to the activity, sometimes you'll see that there's no phone number in there. So you want to make sure, and this is a dummy lead so I can't show you, but normally right here it would say view lead. You want to click on that and see if there might be a phone number on there. So check both places before you think there's no phone number, because sometimes there is. The other thing is, if the notes are down in this area, there's also a possibility the phone could be down there. So the first thing we're going to do is, within 5 minutes of the lead coming in, we're going to make the phone call and we're going to try to set the appointment. Now let's take this scenario saying we did make the phone call, we did make the appointment. So the next thing we're going to do is mark the status correctly, which is we're going to go right here and we're going to change the status to appointment, and we're going to hit save. Actually, let me back up one step because I skipped it. Within the first 5 minutes, as soon as we make that phone call, obviously we want to hit phone call complete, because that'll stop the clock, because we know we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Obviously, we're going to set a note in there, whatever the note is: called, contacted, made appointment. But the main thing now is to set the appointment here. Then go over here to schedule appointment, schedule the date, schedule a time if you have one. In other words, click any time of day. Now, if you click any time of day, you're not going to be able to do the next step that I'm going to talk about. But if you have a time, then you also need to go down here and schedule a confirmation call so we can confirm your appointment. And just set whatever is appropriate. Select that manager that you normally work with or want to work with, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. Obviously, if it's new, then you put a new manager in there, etc. Okay? And then you're going to save that. Now remember, we always want to send out an email as well as talking to the customer. So the first email, you can see we have an email activity already up here. The first email is the initial email. And I don't know what this is about. This is a computer I don't normally use. Anyway, we know the first email is the initial email. But we're going to, in this case, we're going to change this to a appointment confirmation. So we're going to go find that in the drop-down box. And then all you're going to do is simply make sure that the correct time is on there and the correct date that you scheduled it for. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't. So you want to make sure that is correct, and then you want to send that. Okay? Now, as soon as you send that, then you're going to go back to your lead, and you're going to go to activities, and you are going to delete the first response because it's not needed anymore, so we're just simply going to delete it. And then this is real important. If the initial email had been sent, it's a phony email address, so I couldn't actually send it. So we're going to pretend like it gets sent, so the schedule will advance, because once you send that email, then it clicks into place the next scheduled email, which are the automatic emails. Now, the important thing about this is that we need to stop these automatic emails going out, because they're not going to make any sense to the customer. Okay? So we're going to click on the next automatic email on the blue part, and then we're going to come down here and we're going to hit end process. And that's very important, not in schedule, but in process. check the box. Now, if anybody on your particular setup does not have all 4 of those, you need to call Laura and ask her to give you access. Check that, and now that process has been ended, and we're good to go. Okay, the second scenario we're going to talk about is either there was no answer, we had to leave a message, or there wasn't a phone number. And once again, make sure you look in a couple different places before we determine that. Don't just click right here and see that there's no phone number, because it could be within the lead or it could be in view lead, and you can find the phone number in there. But anyway, either way, when we want to go ahead and get that phone call either completed, left message, whatever the case may be, obviously put a note in there. Either way, whether it's left message or no phone number, so that everybody can see that. The next activity that comes up is going to be our email. Everybody knows we want to get an email out right away. Whether there's a phone, they answer the phone or not, we want that email to go out. Now, the first template that comes up is the initial email template. This is designed basically to work with the new car leads. And we'll talk in just a minute how we can quickly modify this for pre-owned. Now, one of the most important things that we need to remember when we're looking at the lead is we're looking for questions. If the customer has any questions within the lead, they need to be addressed within this template. Now, there's usually more questions in the pre-owned lead than there is new, but we can't take that for granted. We need to look every time, make sure we're addressing the questions and answering somewhere within this template, okay? But basically, let's just assume that there isn't a question. All we know is they're interested in a 2011 Camaro. Even if they state a model or an SS or LT, you know that many times it's not the correct vehicle, so I don't want to get into that. I just want to simply show them the lowest price possible. Now, in this case, I gave you a cheat sheet, and you can use that price, $22,995. And just so you realize, what I did was went to Chevy.com, and under any one of these tabs, it shows the vehicles, and it shows a starting price. That's where I got these numbers. So if you don't have your cheat sheet, you can jump onto Chevy.com, simply to go to one of these tabs, find the starting price, subtract the rebates that we know are applicable, and then just use that as your price. It's real simple. But within this, all we're going to do is add the price. The rest of the email makes sense, and then we can send that. Okay? Now, if it is a pre-owned car, what I'd recommend you do, first of all, is pretty much get rid of all of this. That last line can stay, because it'll still make sense. Whether they're looking at a certified or not, it's still a good message to put out there. And then all we simply need to do is the particular vehicle they inquired about is available, ask for the appointment, and then make sure we answer any questions that were in the lead, like, i.e. the price, or is it still available, or whatever. Definitely want to answer their questions, but this email can be brief, it can be short, doesn't need to be long and drawn out. We're just trying to get the appointment at this point because they did not answer the phone. Now again, once this is completed, the next activity that's going to show up is another email. Okay? Now let me just real quickly pretend like I sent this, so it'll go away and advance the schedule. Now remember, once this email has been sent, then the automatic email schedule is automatically set into motion. Now the first response email is not an automatic email. It's the second thing you're going to do within the same day that you get the lead. Obviously, time presenting, we have time to do that. And I mean, like, if it's 8:30 at night, obviously we're not going to come back 2 hours later and send this email. Now, this email, this is designed to make it a second attempt at contact with the customer. So there's 3 things you can do here. We can send out this email. Now, this is a blank template, so this is basically free for you to send whatever you want. I like to send something really simple. Make sure I always ask a question when I send out an email. And I'm just going to simply go there. I'm going to click, and I'm just going to say, did you get my message? Did you get my email? Question mark. It's as simple as it can be. I can send that out. I can also pick up the phone again, try to contact the customer. If I still don't get an answer, I highly, highly, highly recommend you send a text message at this point. If it's not a cell phone, it's just going to kick back. You're not out anything. You already sent your email, and you tried to call again. Okay, let's talk about when a lead comes in, they don't answer the phone, we leave a message, or there's no phone, but there is a stock number. You know that sometimes here it'll just say 2011 Camaro, or they've actually been on our website and they see a stock number involved. So there's going to be a little bit of change in the initial email. Once again, we're assuming that we did not contact the customer, so we're sending out the initial email. So obviously here we've already stopped the clock by completing the phone call and leaving a note, left message, whatever the case may be, no phone number, and then we're going to go to the initial email. Now, what I want you to do a little bit different here, if there is a stock number, I just want you to pull the invoice, deduct all the applicable rebates that we know about from the invoice, and then insert that price. So what you're going to do is pricing on, let's say, stock number, whatever it was, is, and then we just insert that price. And then the rest of the email still makes sense, but your price could be lower, and then we're asking to verify this information, still offering a pre-owned car in case they may want one, and then so anyway, the message all makes sense at that point. So we go ahead and get that sent out. Okay, now the third scenario we're going to talk about is the customer did answer the phone, but they didn't make an appointment. We just had a conversation. We found out more about what they wanted. We asked them to come in, but basically they're not ready to come in. They're waiting for information. They're waiting for other quotes, whatever the case may be. So obviously we want to get our phone call completed. We want to leave a note. In this case, it may just be wants more information, whatever the case may be. Make sure you put some sort of note in there, though, so that we know what's going on. Now, the next thing we need to do is obviously send an email. That does two things for us. It puts our contact information to the customer directly, and then it also lets him know that we heard what he said, and response and whatever we need to respond. Obviously, the initial email is not going to get sent out this time. Okay, so we want to go ahead and just delete all this information, and then you need to be creative at this point. You need to type in whatever was appropriate to your conversation. Maybe very simply, it was good speaking with you on the phone. I'll get that information to you directly. Whatever the case may be, but I do recommend as soon as your conversation ends, go ahead and get an email sent out. He's got your name, he's got your phone number. If he has any additional questions, he knows to respond back to you. Make this a short, quick email, something to get out to him right away. And then you're going to send that. And then once again, the next thing in queue, in this case, is going to be, and once again, I'm going to just end this so that it moves forward. And the next thing in queue is going to be your first response. Now, I would use that first response at this point to maybe send the quote or whatever the case may be. Whatever the information you were going to give him, use that first response email to do that. Okay? We sent the initial email with our basically saying, hey, I talked to you. I'm going to get you this info. The first response email now becomes whatever information he was wanting, whether that's constructing a quote, whether that's answering his questions, whatever the case may be. So use that for that. Now, here's the really important part. We send this email out, which whatever is appropriate, and we've talked to the customer, so we've made contact. Now, this is also important if the guy or girl or whatever has emailed you back. That's contact as well. So once again, if they emailed you back or if you talked to them on the phone, you've made contact, and the next step is to make sure that you end the automatic email process. So no matter at what point you make contact, the next step is to end the process on the automatic emails. All right, I clicked on the email, end process. not in schedule, in process, check the box, hit save, and now at this point, the customer is not going to get emails that don't make any sense. Okay? Now, I do encourage you, if there's no phone number, you would think logically, well, why don't I end the phone process? Well, we kind of tell you not to do that, because if you end up ending the phone process, you make contact in the email process, then all of a sudden you have no activities. They won't show up on your daily work plan anymore, and it's real easy to forget. So don't end the phone process. Let it be there. Obviously, you can't make a phone call. It's there as a reminder for you to maybe send out another email, send out something in between the automatic emails, whatever you think is appropriate. Okay? But it is very important to remember, once contact has been made, and that's either by phone or email, you must stop the email process like I just showed you. Okay? Please add notes every time you do an activity. It just helps us be able to help follow up with the customer. Now, there's a couple things we want to talk about. Once the customer comes in. Now, I created this record so it has a number, but if it was a real email lead that came in, there would be no number. So the first thing we do when a customer comes in that is an email is we will promote it. Obviously, you're not seeing a promote button because it's already done, but you'll promote it, which will give it a number. Okay? Now, this is very important as well. The next thing you're going to do is end the entire schedule. Okay? Now, I'm talking about the customer is in the store right now. Okay? We promote it. It gives him a number. And then we're going to go to the schedule. Let me back up a minute and show you that again. We're going to go to whatever the next activity is. It doesn't really matter. Just click on it, and we're going to end the schedule. All right? And I'm going to save that, and that ends everything that's going out that's based on the internet. Now, when you go to the sales desk, you want to let your manager know this is a internet lead. They're in the store. I have ended the schedule, and basically it's their responsibility to assign it a new schedule so that they now have activities so they can help follow up. Okay? But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that. We ended the schedule here. We're going to assign the schedule here. I'm going to click prospect. I'm going to click whatever pops up in there. In this case, it's an email. And I'm going to click whether it's a new or used. Okay? It doesn't really make any difference which one you hit. It's going to give you the same schedule. Obviously, if it's used, it's going to go to Pastor or Joe. If it's new, it's going to go to Mark or Brian. So you click that. Now, this is important. If this email had come in 10 days ago, this process would start 10 days ago. So you would miss all these first activities. So you want to make sure you come down to manual date, and that way you get the complete schedule. Now, what I'm going to do here is click on it and just drag it down, and then I'm going to send it over there. And then I save that. Now I have a schedule. But now I have a new car manager in my schedule, so he can help me follow up with this customer, assuming we didn't make a car deal. Because if we had made the car deal, once this gets closed, then it goes into a sold schedule. Okay? Now, remember that, after 8:30 at night and on Sundays, obviously we're having volunteers work leads on Sundays, but on after 8:30, what we try to do is whoever's in the next morning early goes into rotation that night. So I strongly encourage, no matter what's going on, spend 5-10 minutes, click on your inbox from the night before, and try to call every one of those leads and or send out the initial email. Now remember that what you're going to see is the initial email was sent out because Overnight BDC sent it. So you take the first response email and then you construct that by changing it into the initial email and send that out first thing. Now, those are a little trickier because you're not going to have that second reminder of the day. So you need to make sure you remember to try to call them. And logically, if they're, sending in an internet inquiry at 11 p.m. at night, they're either asleep or they're at work. So it's going to behoove you to try to call them later in the evening or later in the day and or text them. If you text them right away, You're probably going to get a response because if they are asleep, they're going to see it when they wake up. They're more apt to see that text than they are to listen to a voicemail or run to the computer and see if they've got an email response. So if you have any questions, feel free to call Candace or Tony anytime. We're here to help. Just let us know, and I hope this helped you out.